So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. In today's video, we are back with another episode of our LeBron Era rebuild series, and today it's going to be the Denver Nuggets. Now, as I'm sure many of you are aware, the LeBron Era begins at the start of the 2010-2011 NBA season. That was a very interesting year for the Denver Nuggets. They went ahead and made a blockbuster deal, and they shipped off their franchise player, Carmelo Anthony, to the New York Knicks. Now, I'm not going to do that here today. I'm going to hopefully do a bit of a better job at putting a competent core around Carmelo Anthony, hopefully getting him that championship he, of course, never got. As always, let me know any other video ideas down below in the comments section. Seems like you guys have really been enjoying the LeBron Era rebuilds. I've been loving doing them so far, so we're going to continue to likely do 3 of these a week until we have basically wrapped this series up. But got a lot of requests to do the Denver Nuggets. That's why we're here doing them today. Let me know which team you want to see next down below. But excited for it here. Denver fans, obviously, eventually got their championship, even if it was with a different number 15 leading the charge. And let's see if we can get Melo one today as well. Let's get into it. All right, let's go ahead and do a quick overview of this roster. There may end up being 1 or 2 trades before we kick off year 1. This team in real life won 52 games. They did make the playoffs. They did lose to the young up-and-coming Thunder in 5 games in round 1, but the team was really never a 50-win team, if you kind of catch what I'm saying. Of course, Carmelo Anthony was there for part of this season. I'm assuming he helped this team win quite a few games, and yeah, we're not going to make that mistake today. I mean, I guess you can call it a mistake. Because technically speaking, his contract is expiring after this season. Of course, Carmelo Anthony, the number 3 overall pick back in the 2003 draft, had spent his whole career with Denver up until this point, and they just really never did a good enough job at putting a solid enough core around him. So we'll go position by position. We will discuss this, and again, there may be 1 or 2 trades before we get into this first season. So here at the point guard spot, Chauncey Billups is actually our second highest overall player on this team. Now, unfortunately, he's 34 years old. He's on an expiring contract, and while he's still an 86 overall, I may end up considering a few different deals for him right off the rip. So I don't know if I'm going to get the best player in that trade, but ultimately I think in a long-term move, maybe trading him would not be the worst idea out there. Again, I'm not going to give the man up for nothing, but we all have to consider the repercussions of keeping a 34-year-old expiring contract on this team long-term. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, we have a 22-year-old, 81 overall Ty Lawson, who is likely going to only going to get better throughout the 3 years of this rebuild. So, I don't know if Ty Lawson's going to start here in year number 1, but he is an unbelievably solid backup point guard option for us. And again, may even end up getting the nod at the starting 1 spot here for the first season. Now, the shooting guard spot, J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith was a very, very fun player to watch. I'm assuming the majority of you who are, in your mid-teens have probably only really remembered J.R. Smith in his Cleveland days. And J.R. Smith, believe it or not, before he got to Cleveland, was an unbelievable player. Not that he wasn't great in Cleveland, but he was really, really fun to watch in Denver and New York. And he's only 25 here, so I'm hoping his overall can continue to go up. Behind him, we have Aaron Aflalo. He's 25 as well. He's a 78 overall, will likely be a 6th, 7th man option for us here today. The small forward spot, of course, with Carmelo Anthony. Now he's 26 years old, coming off pretty much a career season. And if you take a look at the contract right here, of course, it will say he technically has 1 year after this, but it's a player option. And again, there's almost a 0% chance he actually accepts that. So I have to make sure I keep Melo, happy, because I obviously would like to bring him back after this 1 year. We have Gary Forbes here, who's 28, 2-year deal, 72 overall. It's certainly a spot I'd like to upgrade eventually. The power forward spot, there are a lot of names here. You got Nene, who's 28. You got Kenyon Martin, 32. You got Al Harrington. You got Sheldon Williams and Ronaldo Balkman. This is 5 real players at the power forward spot, which is good, because considering I typically have a lot of, user fake created players as depth pieces, this is a really nice change of pace for me. And then finally, the center spot, we have Chris Birdman Anderson and Melvin Eli? I'm not really familiar with Melvin here too much, but looks like he is a real person. So, as I mentioned, we're going to make some trades before we get into year 1. I'm certainly not going to blow this team up, but again, I want to be competitive here in the first season. So, let's see. Coincidentally and funny enough, we are making a trade here with the New York Knicks. Now, it is not Carmelo Anthony. It is not a big blockbuster, but we're going to go ahead and bring in Wilson Chandler. Now, Kenyon Martin was actually the 2nd highest overall power forward we had on this team. He's an expiring contract after this year. He's 32 years of age, and ultimately probably not a guy we are going to re-sign. Whereas Wilson Chandler is only 23. We significantly upgrade our backup small forward spot, and he's certainly somebody I'm willing to invest in long term. Also getting Eddie Curry here in this deal. So, I'm trying to make upgrades to this team without completely mortgaging our future. While I do think we can be a really good team this year, I don't know if we're going to be up there with some of the best in the best here in the West. So that's one trade down. I think we have a few more to go. Interesting trade here with the New Orleans Hornets. We are sending out Sheldon Williams and the recently acquired Eddie Curry, and in return, we're getting ourselves Trevor Ariza. Now, we actually have two pretty viable options at the shooting guard spot. We're going to make this trade for a couple different reasons. First and foremost, Trevor Ariza, I think, is an upgrade defensively at the shooting guard spot. Now, he won't be starting over J.R. Smith, but he'll be a nice piece that we can bring off the bench. And then second and more importantly, he's on a multi-year contract, which is something we do not have in any way, shape, or form right now off our bench, at least at the backup shooting guard spot. So I like Aaron Aflalo. I think ultimately he could have been an impactful piece throughout this rebuild, but if I can upgrade my backup center spot, get the same overall, same age, similar overall here as Ariza, I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. And then what I'm actually going to do is hang on to Chauncey Billups. I know I touched on in the intro. We could consider a trade. I actually didn't realize he had a team option after this season. Now, I am a little bit nervous because he could very well just end up retiring after this year, but I'm going to bank on the fact that he might have a year or two left after this. But Aflalo is going to go, and we're going to hang on here to Gary Forbes, multi-year contract. Same thing with Ronaldo Balkman, and then hopefully just find somebody to back up Birdman. So Aaron Aflalo, Pat Hill, whoever the hell you are, I just need like a 75, 76, 77 overall center. Not looking for a superstar or anything like that, so hopefully there's somebody that kind of fits that mold. That's pretty hard to pass up on, especially considering we haven't really gotten offered any other centers here. So I could get JaVale, but I think DJ may be the better play. I mean, we know how he's going to develop and progress throughout this video. He is somebody we're going to have to pay. What's the contract here for JaVale? He has a year of team control, though. Okay, I'm going to do the JaVale McGee trade, and it's for a couple reasons. Of course, DeAndre Jordan becomes a 10 times better player than JaVale McGee. Not a shot at JaVale McGee, it's just the reality of the situation. But McGee is a player that I don't trade for nearly as much as I have DeAndre Jordan. I think we've only done like 6 of these LeBron era rebuilds. I'm pretty sure I've already gotten DJ twice. So I'm trying to mix it up. Certainly would make a lot more sense long term to trade for DeAndre Jordan, but again, I don't like getting the same players over and over, and I'm sure you guys don't like watching me getting the same players over and over. So yes, hindsight, this is probably not the correct decision, but it's the one we're making just for continuity purposes. So that is a 10-man rotation that is all set. I think we upgraded this team while not giving up any significant draft capital. I'm pretty excited. Let's set that rotation. After a few different moves, we've gone ahead and finalized this 10-man rotation here for our first season in Denver. I think on paper this team is looking really good. Now, are we going to be up there with the best teams in the West? I don't know if we're quite there, but of course we have a full season now here with Melo. They had many full seasons with him before, but we have a competent core surrounding Carmelo Anthony that we put together. Chauncey Billups, J.R. Smith, Carmelo Anthony, Nene, and then JaVale McGee's going to start. It's what 2K recommends. If you guys watch my videos or play 2K, you know that typically when you play the guys the 2K suggests, tends to work out a little bit better. And he's a little bit younger. Ty Lawson's going to be my 6th man off the bench here. Wilson Chandler behind him. You got Chris Birdman Anderson at the backup center. Trevor Ariza, who we brought in, and then finally Al Harrington at the backup power forward. So, yes, George Karl was the head coach of this team at the time. I am not sure if he's going to be the head coach for 3 full seasons. That picture, or, auto-generated picture kind of scares the shit out of me. He looks like somebody out of a Christmas movie. But we're going to go ahead and sim year number 1. Fully expect this team to be in the playoffs, hopefully a top 4 seed, and I'll see you guys at the end of this first season. I don't think anybody but LeBron's ever won an MVP here at the end of the first season of one of these rebuilds. Now, again, it is the LeBron era, and he was clearly the best player in the world at this point, so that does make a lot of sense. But yeah, it's pretty similar numbers every time. Man's pretty good. More importantly, though, we go 66-16. I was hoping this team was going to be good. I had a kind of general understanding that we were going to be in the mix for near the top of the West. I didn't think 66 wins was going to happen, though. Boogie Cousins, Rookie of the Year. You guys watch these videos. These are legitimately always the same. Oh, fuck off, Rick. Give me Coach of the Year here with George Karl. So we actually did not have the tiebreaker. We're going to have the number 2 seed here in the Western Conference. Let's go ahead, take a quick look at the standings. Of course, tied with them exactly. I'm not exactly sure what the tiebreaker was at this time, but obviously we did not get it. And then here's a look at the East. When was the last time a league had 4 60-plus win teams? Almost 5. I'm trying to think. Like, I know the one year that the Spurs and the Warriors both did it. I don't think, LeBron and the Cavs were winning 60-plus games at that time. I don't know. I'm just curious. Anybody know that off the top of their head? All right, here are the numbers. Carmelo was fantastic, as we expected. JR ended up being our number 2 option. Chauncey Billups taking a little bit of a backseat in the scoring department, but still dishing that thing out pretty well. Nene, McGee, Chandler, Lawson, Harrington, Anderson, and then Ariza. We were led in rebounds by JaVale and led in assists by Chauncey Billups. So, New Orleans Hornets here. First round of the playoffs. Chris Paul, William Henderson, Peja Stojakovic, David West, Emeka Okafor, Sheldon Williams, Jason Smith, Jason Maxiel. This team's definitely beatable. I don't think there's much denying that here, so let's just get through the first round, and we are going to find ourselves dancing with Kobe and the Lakers here in round 2. So, Kirk Heinrich, okay, Kobe, Ron Artest, you got Lamar Odom, Pau Gasol, Shannon Brown, Matt Barnes. They're a good team. They're a very experienced group. It's a group of winners, and we are running them out of their own building. 2K is being nice to me today, I guess. I should record like 6 videos right now because this does not happen often. And of course, we tied with the Dallas Mavericks at 66 wins throughout this regular season. They ended up having the tiebreaker, and they're going to have home court here. Rip Hamilton. Okay. This was a Dallas team that obviously won the finals this year in real life. Dirk was on an absolutely incredible run, certainly one of the heaviest rings in the history of basketball. And can we compete with them? We're down 3-0. I guess not. Okay. We end up getting bounced in 5. It is going to be the Mavericks and the Bulls in the finals. And just as he did, and that's just as they did in real life, Dirk and the Mavs win it all. Okay. Good first season. I'll take that. There's no way to spin a Western Conference Finals 66-win year as a bad season. We had pretty good expectations. I don't know if they were quite that high. Now, did Chauncey Billups retire? Because if he did, I'm going to be a little upset. Does not appear that that is the case. So, if he had, I would have been a little nervous. I think at this point, it's probably a little bit safer for me to just go ahead and trade him. It's not a shot at Chauncey. He played pretty well. He filled his role, especially considering his age. But ultimately, he has 1 year left of team control. We're going to pick up said team option. And then I don't know if he'll retire, but he's definitely going to regress. So, it wasn't a problem for us necessarily, but I would like to maybe consider a few different options. Now, I don't really like George Karl, just to be completely honest with you. Just George Karl, the person. I'm not really a big fan, but we had a 66-win season. If we don't win a championship next year, I'll probably fire him. But it's hard to fire a coach after 66 wins, no matter what you really feel about him. So, George Karl will stay. Let's approach the 2011 NBA draft. We do have our first-round pick. It's at number 29. We already have a pretty decent amount of depth under team control, but I will draft somebody just in case. How many fucking times is Davis Bertans going to be like the only real player sitting here? I mean, it's probably going to be Corey Joseph, just so I can mix it up a little bit, but holy hell. I'm just curious. Do I get offered any other players that have already been drafted? If there's anybody, I'll probably take them. No, not really. Okay. Who's Jared Wagner? James Posey? Yeah, not really. Okay, we are just going to go ahead and draft Corey Joseph. Now, I'm assuming Davis Bertans probably higher overall, but I get him quite a bit. Not going to do that again. All right, he's going to be a 69 overall. I should have just taken Bertans. Melo declines as we expected. We are going to bring back Billups. Nene, of course, entering free agency as well. Lawson and McGee we will bring back. So 2 big free agents, technically 3 with Wilson Chandler. And Melo is my first and obviously my biggest priority. So the Warriors are offering him a deal. He's getting a max contract from us. No questions asked. Really hoping he's willing to sign it. And then who else did we have as a free agent? Nene, who's also sitting here. Really hoping 2K lets me pay him. And J.R. Smith. Fuck, completely forgot about him. Okay, 2K. I don't know if it's going to let me bring back everybody here. I'm really hoping it does. We're kind of screwed if not. Fuck, oh my god. Is this going to let me... Oh my god, I cannot believe that went through. Because we didn't really have bird rights on anybody but Melo. But shout out 2K for making it work. Let's get into some trades. Quite honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen Kevin Love being able to be traded for. Now, Chauncey Billups was really good for us at the point guard spot. I think we kind of all came to a conclusion and an understanding that we were going to move on from him. And while I considered a few different trades, point guard for point guard swap, Kevin Love popped up. And again, he's not somebody I've really ever seen either on the trade market when I've tried to make trades manually. And here he is. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are willing to offer me a 22-year-old 88 overall. I think it'd be too good to pass up on. So again, Nene is a really solid power forward option for us. He'll likely slide to the backup role, but this is just, again, it's too much to say no to. So I considered this one here with the Bucks for Brandon Jennings. Also would have landed us Andrew Bogut. I definitely strongly considered that one. Also considered this one here with the Grizzlies that would have got us a 23-year-old Mike Conley. But it was just really too good to pass up on here from the Timberwolves. And yeah, we have to figure out the point guard spot. Again, we already do have a pretty good one here with Ty Lawson. So maybe we give him a shot. But there's definitely still a few more trades to make. I don't know if it'll be possible to add Tyson Chandler to this team, but if we're making upgrades across the board, might as well hit our center spot as well. Now, JaVale McGee did his job for us for a season, and He's not a player I didn't necessarily have to trade, but he's an expiring deal after this year, and if I'm going to make upgrades to this squad all around, I think making an upgrade at the center spot would be very much worth it. So McGee, Harrington, Anthony Tolliver all being included in this trade. They did not want to take that. How about if I include Corey Joseph? And just like that, we have ourselves a new starting center. So it's going to be Chandler and Anderson as our two fives. It's going to be Love and Nene as our two fours. Obviously, Carmelo and Chandler. Brought back J.R. Smith. Trevor Ariza still here. And then Ty Lawson, I'll likely let remain the starting point guard here. He has a year of team control past this, so if I ultimately have to, either include him in a trade or just find an upgrade at the spot, it's not the worst thing in the world. So Ronaldo Balkman, I don't necessarily have to move, but if anybody wants to give me either a draft pick or a point guard, I'd certainly be willing to take it. Not really seeing anything here. So what are my options in free agency? They suck. Surprise, surprise. But Ish Smith, ooh, is that Patty Mills? Ooh. Don't mind if I do. Patty Mills, come on down. Okay, that's cool with me. We are all set. I will see you guys at the start of year number 2. Last year, we had an absolutely fantastic season. We won 66 games, made a Western Conference Finals, and ultimately came up short of our goal. Now, that being said, we didn't have to really force the issue, and I don't think we necessarily did this offseason. I think we generally just made upgrades across the board. I think they're moves that are going to be very well worth it for us. Ty Lawson, J.R. Smith, our backcourt, of course, still have Melo here at the 3. Kevin Love is now up to an 89 overall. So, trading a 35-year-old Chauncey Billups for him, who's probably in the low to mid 80s at this point, I think it's a very well worth it deal for us. And then, of course, brought in Tyson Chandler, take over our starting center spot. Wilson Chandler will be my 6th man off the bench. You got Nene now sliding into a backup power forward role for us. Trevor Ariza remains off the bench. Chris Birdman Anderson, and finally Patty Mills, we brought in on a 2-year deal. So I think this is a team that is very much good enough to win a championship. Hopefully we can make that happen at the end of year number 2. It is another member of the Miami Heat taking home the MVP award this time. It's going to be Dwayne Wade, who, I guess that's a really crazy season and very well deserved. I just don't remember the last time I saw D Wade winning an MVP in one of these videos. Now let's talk about our team. We were really good, as we thought we would be. We were historically good, 74-8. I don't know. Sometimes 2K is nice to me. Again, as I touched on earlier, feels like it's one of those days. Kyrie Irving's in DC. He's your rookie of the year. You got Baron Davis as your 6th man of the year coming off the bench for the Clippers. Dwight Howard winning yet another DPOY. Ty Lawson does win most improved. So, we decided to give him the nod as the starting point guard. And quite honestly, they're pretty similar, if not better numbers from what we got from Chauncey Billups just a season ago. So I guess we made the right choice. George Karl does win coach of the year. Okay, let's get into it. Again, it is not championship or bust for our team, but it is championship or bust for our head coach. I'll let you know that. There is not a single team in the Western Conference that won 50 or more games outside of us, which is absolutely crazy. Here is a look at the East. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the stats here real quick. Points per game, once again, led by Melo. Kevin Love, this was just the easiest no-brain trade of all time. J.R. Smith, Ty Lawson, Wilson Chandler, Nene, Mills, other Chandler, Ariza, and then Anderson. Led in the rebounding department by K. Love, led in assists by Lawson. So we have the Clippers here. First round of the playoffs. Eric Bledsoe, Eric Gordon, Kenneth Boyd, whoever that is. Chris Kaman, of course, DeAndre Jordan, who we could have acquired, but ultimately decided against getting again. I think we're better than this team. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We're up 3-0, we sweep. Now we're moving on to the Thunder. No matter what their win-loss record is, they are a pain in the ass. This big 3 right here is unbelievable. They are all relatively young and certainly have not gotten to their peak forms, but they're a really talented trio. We're up 3-1 at the moment, and we are going to Game 6. We are going to Game 7, and we do win. All right, the Los Angeles Lakers, who are a 7 seed, and Kobe, Powell, certainly getting up there in age, but they're still really good players, and they're definitely not easy, even as a 7 seed. So let's see what happens here, West Finals. Quick 2-0 lead, quick 3-0 lead. We sweep them. It's like sweep, 7-game series, sweep. I'm hoping this one is not a 7-game series. No Miami Heat. It is the Chicago Bulls, who, of course, won the Eastern Conference last year as well. Lost to Dirk in the Mavs, and they are looking for a little bit of revenge. Hopefully it does not come at our expense. I think we are as good, if not better, than this team, and we're going out. We're proving that right now as we're up 3-0 in this series, and we're in Chicago here for a potential closeout Game 4, a game that we could sweep the Bulls out of their own building here in the NBA Finals, and it looks like we are going to be doing just that. With just a hair over 3 minutes to go, we are on the verge of our first championship of these videos. Am I being too nostalgic when I say I miss these Denver Nuggets jerseys? I feel like NBA jerseys in general today have just gotten so much worse. And, I guess I'd blame Nike for that. Hell, Nike ruins most things they touch. But, you just look at how clean this look was. Nowadays, you got 42 different color schemes for every single team. You have about 28,000 different designs they try to throw on these things. I mean, what was wrong with these? They were slick. They were sleek. I don't really understand why. Well, I know why Nike had to add 1 million jerseys. It's because they paid like 3 times what Adidas was paying to get the rights for it, and to offset said cost, they had to make more jerseys for fans to buy them. Now, I understand that. But why did you have to ruin? I feel like every team's jerseys today just aren't great. Like, outside the classics, and again, like, you look at the Lakers jerseys, their gold jerseys are fucking yellow. And for a guy that hates the Lakers and doesn't really like anything about the franchise, why do you have to ruin something that was perfect? I don't get it. And again, there are a million other examples of this. I feel like when you look at, like, I'm recording this on Wednesday. If anybody watched the Warriors Heat game on Tuesday, Jimmy's return to Miami, what the hell are those Warriors jerseys? They suck. They're terrible. I don't understand why Nike has to do this shit. And there's some super clean ones, like the Miami, retro ones, the ones the Heat were wearing last night. They look clean as hell. Do not get me wrong on that one. But oftentimes, more often than not, I will say, that's a foul. It's a fucking foul. More often than not, it feels like the designers of these things are doing too much. I mean, hell, has anybody seen the Celtics City jerseys this year? Truly one of the worst things I've ever laid my eyes on. And it's, again, because they have to make their money back, because people have to buy these things. Because, again, they paid so much goddamn money to get the rights to these things. They have to make it back some way, somehow. So, that is going to do it for this gameplay. I didn't even talk about Denver. I kind of just bitched about NBA jerseys for 2 minutes, but that's a championship here. Our historic season has come to an end, and it resulted in a championship here. Carmelo Anthony does win Finals MVP. He shot 0% from 3. Okay, now Carmelo Anthony's not Ray Allen or Steph Curry, but 0%. All right. Let's get into the final offseason. We are at the point of this video where there's probably not a lot of major changes coming, maybe 1 or 2, just off the bench, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but I don't really like to run things back. I did trade my first round pick, I believe, so that's not something we're going to have. Yes, the Timberwolves also have our pick. Wow, they have a lot of draft picks there, but they have ours at number 30. As much as I'm not a huge fan, I will hang on to George Karl, and we approach the 2012 draft without a selection, I believe. We do not. Okay. Team player options here. Hopefully not as many free agents as last year, because last year was a little stressful. Now, Kevin Love's restricted. We're going to be able to pretty much give him whatever contract he wants. Is the game going to allow me to just pay the man? It's not. So, yeah, we're just going to match whatever he gets. Again, that's just on 2K. So, yeah, we will wait. And Kevin Love has still not accepted an offer. He has 9 of them at this point. Definitely not going to renounce his rights, and we will just continue to wait. Kevin, can you please just take something here? I mean, he has 17 offers. Oh, because none of them are real offers. That's why. All right, so we're going to operate under the assumption that Kevin Love will be back. So ignore the power forward spot. I do think there's going to be 1 or 2 trades I want to make just to kind of put one final upgrade on this team. Making a little trade here with the Washington Wizards, and we're going to pick up Kendrick Perkins. Now, is this a deal that is necessary? Probably not. Is it funny as hell? Yeah. We're making this for a couple reasons. I know Chris Anderson's overall is going to continue to go down. He's entering his age 35 season, and at a 77 overall, he'll probably be around a 74 or 75 at the start of next year, whereas Perkins, only 27. You take a look at his numbers last year. I mean, 5 points a game, 8.5 boards. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but he's going to be playing the backup 5, and again, it's a little bit of an upgrade. So that's one trade. I also wouldn't mind considering maybe a backup point guard upgrade. Now, Patty Mills, hopefully, will end up progressing. I also could consider something here with Ariza. Very comfortable at my 3 and my backup 4. Why not? I'm not going to make any other changes. So at this point, I'm just going to wait for Kevin Love. Now, I don't know if he's ever going to get a real contract. I'm assuming somebody will throw him some sort of real money at some point, but he's obviously qualified. He's restricted. He can't go anywhere, and we're certainly entitled to match anything he does get. So it's up to 20 offers now. Again, none of them real. I have no idea why nobody's interested in a 23-year-old who had just had an unbelievable season, but if he wants to take his qualifying... Oh, he's going to go to the Jazz. 1 year, $10 million. Wow. Times they are tough. I'll see you guys at the start of the year number 3. Fresh off a championship, it's the final season for us here in Denver. We are very much looking to go back-to-back, and I think this team clearly has the talent and the depth to do so. Now, the starting 5 is going to remain exactly the same with Ty Lawson, J.R. Smith, Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Love, who ended up signing a 1-year deal with the Jazz, which, of course, we matched, and then finally Tyson Chandler. Bench unit will be led by Wilson Chandler. You got Nene here behind him. Trevor Ariza, who's up to a 79, got big Kendrick Perkins at the backup center spot, and finally Patty Mills, who, again, I thought would go up in the overall department just a bit, but that's not quite the case that we find ourselves here in today. So, I think this team very much, once again, good enough to win a championship. Hopefully we go out and prove that at the end of the final regular season. You thought last year was good? You have not seen anything yet. 76-6. Again, I've said it 3-4 times at this point. It's one of those days. Who cares being nice to me? Derrick Rose is your MVP. Anthony Davis, he is a Minnesota Timberwolf. They found their Kevin Love replacement. Obviously, he's the rookie of the year. Baron Davis, once again, your sixth man. You got DJ winning Depoy. Stacey, who? Hoomst? Okay. And yeah, this old fuck, George Karl, coach of the year. All right, man. Let's talk about the standings. We obviously have the best record in the league. We're incredibly talented. Looks like the West has gotten a little better as well, but I don't really know if I should be worried about anybody else at this point. I don't really feel like I need to be. So there are the numbers. Feel free to pause. Led in rebounds by Kevin Love. Led in assists by Ty Lawson. Mike Conley, OJ Mayo, Rudy Gay, Zach Randolph, Marcus Saul. Certainly not the easiest first-round matchup out there. I don't want to have to sweat too much, but this team is pretty talented, but we run them out of their own building. Now, the Thunder. We had them round 2 last year. We have them round 2 again. Who is this? Who are you? Okay. Let's go in. Wow, we lost the game. 2K. 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 I should have fired that old geriatric fuck. God damn it. Oof. Oof. Dude. There's not a circumstance out there where Carmelo Anthony can be the 4th leading scorer on our team and we expect to win anything. I mean, you win 76 games, you know, you think you're pretty comfortable, pretty content. That Thunder team is, of course, absolutely asinine, but Bulls winning it all. What? Oh, my God. All right, man. This was a very interesting rebuild, to say the least. You know, in terms of talent on paper, I've certainly had better teams. There are 290-plus overalls, but outside of that, I mean, there's some nice mid-80s guys, but, you know, maybe I should have made more upgrades. I thought this team was really good, and, yeah, you win 76 games. You don't think you really have to be worried about anybody, but I guess I did, and I guess I failed. Well, I won a championship, so I didn't really fail, but I had a lot of fun with this rebuild. I think this one ended up being pretty good. Of course, I don't know how, you know, Denver Nuggets fans, you know, remember this era of, you know, basketball, Carmelo Anthony's time. It was probably not as long as many of them wished it was. Of course, we look at Melo's career as a whole. It just, you know, was never really able to get it done. And a lot of that's not on him. A lot of that's on the front offices that just did a really, really bad job of putting, you know, competent cores around him. But ultimately, we got him one today, and I'm pretty happy with it. So, you know, let me know any other video ideas down below in the comment section, along with which team you want to see next in this series. Again, we've been doing about 3 of these a week, and it seems to be going really well so far. So I'll continue doing that until I run out of teams. But as always, thanks so much for watching. That'll do it from... I fucked up my outro. That'll do it for me. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.